So, Kevin, for maximum confusion, I wanted to try to look like you for this video and put on a snapback cap on backwards.
Perfect.
You're not seeing double, friends.
Good thing we have our names down here.
Can I? If I do that, does it cover my name? No.
It does not. That's not how video works.
That's what I get for being the beautiful face on this show. I have no idea about the inner workings of anything. So.
Yeah. You did just show off your fancy camera though, so that was nice.
That is true. I do have a fancy camera, and that's where all the good looks come from. That's about where they start and stop. So welcome back, everybody. Another episode this week of the Real Heroes show. In today's video, we want to try something a little bit different. Kevin had texted me and he was like, hey, we should do something where we just talk about like our top 5 Marvel moments. And not necessarily in the MCU, could be anything Marvel, whether it's TV, movies, cartoons, whatever. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, that sounds fun, because these shows and everything have given us great joy over the years. And I don't know about you, bud, but a lot harder to come up with just 5 than I thought.
It's tough.
Holy
shit. I mean, Cory and I spoke before we shot this, and he was like, all right, so what did you come up with? I was like, well, I got 15.
I think I had 10.
You had 10. So we were going for a top 10. We had 25 to whittle down, and 20, even that was tough, so yeah. But we just finished watching through all of the X-Men movies again, all of the Wolverine stuff, and some Spider-Man stuff, and it's like, the really good moments are not limited just to the Feige MC universe. So
they're not.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go back and forth and share some of our favorites. We got a top 5 and then an honorable mention, I think, each. These are in no particular order.
None whatsoever.
Absolutely no fucking idea which one would be my favorite, but the ones that we've got are the 5 that came to mind, and plus 1 after that. So Kevin, I'm gonna let you go first as a true gentleman and respecting my elders. So go for it.
Dick. All right. So my first greatest MCU or Marvel moment actually comes from one of the Netflix shows, Punisher. So if you haven't watched The Punisher on Netflix, go watch it. This is just a fantastic television show. But more than that, it is one of the most fucking violent things I've ever seen on film.
Very. They had to delay the release of it because there was a real life shooting that happened like 2 days before it was supposed to premiere, and then they dropped it back like 2 or 3 weeks because of all the violence. It's up there.
And the reason why I am going to cite this one scene from The Punisher is because I feel like if Frank Castle was a real character and he had the same motivation that he has in the comics, this would be an accurate scene. This would be the level of his fury. And that scene is season 1, episode 13, where he is confronting Billy Russo and beating the living shit out of Billy Russo and rakes his face across the broken mirror, thus turning Billy Russo into Jigsaw. This is bloody. It is violent, it is real, and it is gritty, and it is, I think, one of the ballsiest things that Marvel's ever put on film.
Yeah, I remember watching that season, and I think there's a fight sequence or 2 in the prior episode where I was like, oh my god, this might be the most violent thing I've ever watched on TV. Yeah. And then this episode happened.
And then that happened.
I was like, damn, this is some savage shit. But I'm glad you thought of that, because the Netflix stuff didn't even cross my radar, which I'm upset with myself about, because I love a lot of that stuff. But Netflix has basically buried those in their UI, so you like never see them when you flip through Netflix anymore. And you know, there are rumors that some of those characters may come back to the MCU, but as of yet they haven't. So I'm really glad you thought about that, because there's some really super rich stuff in there. John Bernthal's just a fucking monster in that show. He's so good.
Bernthal's amazing. Such a spot on pick for that character.
Absolutely terrific. But so for me, my first one, the first one that I thought of because of the emotional weight behind it, was Yondu's death and funeral in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Made me cry in the theater. You know, when he says to Peter Quill, I may not be your father, but you know I'm your daddy. Like, all that stuff has so much weight to it, especially given everything that happens prior in the film with Kurt Russell's ego character, and you know, Sylvester Stallone basically kicking Yondu out of the Ravagers, and then he ends up getting the Ravagers' funeral, and it's just, it warms my cockles, Kevin.
Yeah, it was an extraordinarily touching scene, even, you know, with the I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, all of it. Man, just thinking back on it.
Yeah, a CGI raccoon makes you cry.
Yeah.
That's how you know they did something right.
That was an extraordinary scene. Yeah, I'm glad you thought of that one.
Yeah, man. Next,
Colossus versus Juggernaut in Deadpool 2. For no other reason than we finally get a fucking accurate Juggernaut on screen. Yeah, whatever we saw in X-Men 3 was so terrible. No. It was not Juggernaut. This was Juggernaut. And this was Colossus. And it was just a full-on battle. And I'm not talking about fantastic filmmaking. Just a badass scene that I just... pure enjoyment from my
didn't Ryan Reynolds voice the Juggernaut?
Did he? I did not know that.
I think he's the voice, and they wrote like a special song in the movie for it, and like the lyrics are like, holy fucking shit, it's the Juggernaut. It's just great. That embodies to me what the Deadpool franchise is in like one small little bubble, and I really hope that Marvel Studios keeps that and holds true to that when they do Deadpool 3 sometime in the next 10 years. But sweet, man. So after that, I have the Hydra twist in Captain America the Winter Soldier. To me,
that's a big one.
That was coming off the heels of the first Avengers film. You know, Cap is finally starting to adjust to life in the modern day. And then it literally flips everything right on its head, and it turns out that S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra, and the movie then goes through like this montage of all these government folks like getting close to each other and saying "Hail Hydra" to each other, and you don't know who you can trust. And that movie is still to this day my favorite MCU film. It's perfect for me.
It's a damn good movie. It really is, and that is an amazing scene, a great reveal, and a huge twist for anyone who was not a comics fan.
Yeah. And even as someone who doesn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and really didn't, I know that they tied that moment in so that the like Tuesday or Wednesday after Winter Soldier came out, the episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that premiered also involved S.H.I.E.L.D. being Hydra, and it was like, oh, that's cool. Like some interconnectivity. Cool. Like, even though that show I'm pretty sure isn't considered canon at this point.
It was a Marvel crossover event.
It was meant to be a big deal, you know? Yeah. And it really kind of set the stage for everything that came after it. So
absolutely.
That's my number 2. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is the moment when Guardians of the Galaxy meet Thor. He is laid out on the table, and they're talking about this is a man. Looks like a pirate and an angel and a baby.
It's not a dude.
This is not a dude. That scene was fantastic, and I know it's got one of your favorite humorous moments in there too with Quill.
Yeah, he says he's going to get a Bowflex and he's going to commit. He's going to buy some dumbbells, and then Rocket says to him, "You can't eat dumbbells, right?"
Yeah. Just some of the best writing, man. I love that scene.
When Quill is like, "Really? You think I've gotten fat?" And Drax is like, "Oh, it gets me every
fantastic
time." So
fantastic,
so funny. It's that classic Marvel humor.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
It's awesome. awesome. So for my first one that's outside of the MCU, I'm gonna kick it way back to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Ooh, okay.
After Peter Parker and Doc Ock fight on the train, and Peter stops the train, and it basically takes everything out of him. There's a handful of New Yorkers that see Peter Parker's face without the mask on, and there's this crazy realization that, holy shit, he's just a kid.
It's just a kid, yeah.
He's just a normal guy. And they help prop him up, and they all kind of promise to him that even though they know what he looks like or who he is, that they're not going to say anything. Which to me, that might be the best encapsulation of Spider-Man that they put to film so far. So
that's definitely a an amazing scene, and I have this ongoing debate with Sydney over who's the best Spider-Man, and that is one of her favorite Marvel films of all time. So I'm glad you picked that one, because I had definitely had Doc Ock on my radar, but that's an even better scene than what I had come up with. And
man, I really hope there are rumors that Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina are going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, and boy, I hope so.
I'm super hyped for that movie. The new franchise with Tom Holland has been unbelievable so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if this closes it out and does it in a good way, I'd be all for it. So, what is your fourth?
I'm going to shift gears a little bit, go with an extreme downer, but still a very, very well done scene, which is the death of Logan in the movie Logan. This was so incredibly well done. The entire movie built up to this. It was a combination of things. It was, obviously us watching the character of Wolverine for like 18 years or something like that on screen, finally die, and also knowing that he's been alive for over 200 years. He's had a hard life from the get-go. He was on the run from the age of 7, so he finally got a little peace. But then it was also the mixture of Laura calling him daddy and her bawling her eyes out, and God, what a tearjerker. I can't watch that scene and not cry.
The X over where he's buried, and like, man, I remember you and I watched that together in the theater, and I think we may have ended up like cuddling by the end of it or something. I don't know. It was just like, it was, especially after all the shit they put him through in just that film, the old man Logan story. It's a killer, but it's perfectly executed, and it makes me
unbelievable
not want Hugh Jackman to show up in the MCU, because that was just a perfect closing of his chapter or his book as Wolverine. I think they need to recast that for whatever the hell they do mutants.
We definitely need Wolverine.
Yes, but not as Hugh Jackman.
Probably not Hugh Jackman. Yeah,
it's too good. Let it sit as it is. So my next one, we're jumping into the animated world. Miles Morales taking the leap of faith at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, when New York is upside down, the music is blaring. He says right before he jumps that it's just a leap of faith, and then he's swinging through New York, and goddamn, that is a triumphant moment.
It really is. It really is. I liked that movie so much more than I anticipated.
Yes, 100%.
It was something, when I first saw the trailers for it, I was like, all right, whatever this is, looks like a bad trip. And then you watch it, you're just like, holy shit, so well executed.
Yeah, that moment will bring you to tears. It's about as perfect as it gets, in my opinion. But yeah,
absolutely.
So that's my fourth. So what rounds out your list, Kevin?
Number 5, man, it for no other reason than just the absolute, like, mind-blowing hype that I felt when this happened. Thor Ragnarok. Hela's forces are overcoming Asgard. They're coming across the bridge. Thor's already lost his eye, and the moment where, after the conversation that he has with Odin, he realizes that the lightning lives within inside of him, and this was a power that he had, and that Mjolnir was just there to help him focus it. when he comes back into the fight and lands on that bridge to the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin,
Dude.
and he just starts like bowling people over, the barrel rolls, the lightning, like Thor actually fighting like he's Thor from the comics for the first time. Between the action, the story that we're getting, and the music, that is one of my absolute all-time favorite action movie scenes, not just Marvel. That was amazing.
Yeah, and the scene before it, when he talks to Odin and he's just like, I can't beat her, I don't have my hammer, I don't know what to do, and he's like, well, are you the god of thunder or are you the god of hammers? And
so great.
The writing, the direction, it's almost like a trippy, weird dream that he has when he talks to Odin. Do you think is that the Odin force running through him at that point?
I think it is, and you saw hints there of what we would see later in Infinity War and Endgame, and like this is Thor kind of realizing, you know, just exactly how powerful he really is.
Only took 3 full movies to get there.
Yeah. But yeah, it hints at just how powerful he can be. Yeah. And as far as I know, Chris Hemsworth has not said like, oh, my time is limited in the MCU. I think he's riding this shit out. Yeah. Because it's a fun character. You know, he's kind of an immortal god anyway. There doesn't really have to be a reason for him to go. So loved it. Loved that scene. I will just go back and watch that scene over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So for me to end it, we would be remiss to not talk about this because it's arguably the greatest audience reaction moment in the history of cinema. And that's the end of Avengers Endgame, when Captain America wields Mjolnir and you lose your shit. And then the portal scene happens and you lose your shit. And then he finally, after 10 or 12 years of waiting for it, gets to say Avengers Assemble on film. I have the goosebumps just thinking about it. It's just we don't even need to talk about it. It speaks for itself.
And then we get Sam saying "on your left."
all the callbacks. They're
so incredibly great. That entire scene, which is a really, really long battle scene, and you see Wanda almost defeat Thanos at one point. Yeah. You see Captain Marvel almost defeat Thanos at one point. You see so many people get close, and it's just like edge of your seat every single time. Such an amazing scene.
It's the kind of thing where it's like you never thought you'd see this kind of shit on TV or movies before, but like you see Giant Man punch a Leviathan, and then Black Panther runs with an Infinity Gauntlet and hands it to Spider-Man, who then flings it up to Valkyrie, who slices through one of the things with her sword.
Who's riding on Pegasus?
Like it's and then Captain Marvel gets the gauntlet, and she has to, you know, it's ridiculous. It's stuff that you never thought you'd see outside of a printed comic book, and they brought it to life, and it made like a gajillion dollars, deservedly so. So
it was amazing.
Cool. Give me one honorable mention. I know 5 wasn't enough.
No, 5 was not nearly enough. And my honorable mention is an honorable mention because of how quick it is, how short this happens. But X-Men First Class, Professor X and Magneto are going all around the country or the world, scouring to find mutants to join them. And they walk into a bar, and who do they see but Logan sitting at the bar, and Xavier gets halfway into his introductions and is told, "Go fuck yourself." So they just turn around and leave.
It's so great.
Maybe not one of the best moments in the Marvel universe, but definitely one of my favorites.
That one's up there. Cool. Well, for me, honorable mention would be the spinning shot in the first Avengers film during the Battle of New York.
Oh yeah.
Because that soundtrack swells. They're all there. They finally have come together after spending the whole movie kind of bickering and not really seeing eye to eye. And it's really kind of the jumping off point for everything that we've gotten from there. So aside from that, there's 1,000,001 other things that we could say.
Pages here that we filled up of moments.
On that, what is that, paper? People still use that, I guess.
old people like me.
Fair enough. That's true. But yeah, man, Marvel is full of them. It's incredible that over the last, I mean, at this point, it's like closer to 20 or 25 years if you factor in like the X-Men films and the Spider-Man movies from back in the day. But so many incredible cinematic moments, stuff that we never thought we'd see on film that made it there. And it's a gift. You know, it's really,
Absolutely.
we're all lucky that we've gotten to see a lot of these things. And there are many more to come. I cannot wait to see
this year. There are many more to come.
what is going to come. Like seeing Shang-Chi for the first time, seeing Eternals for the first time, seeing the proper multiverse for the first time next year. There's so much to look forward to, and I think these lists will probably end up changing quite a bit.
Seeing the Mandarin is the Mandarin and not some actor named Trevor.
But they'll never see me coming.
I can't wait, man. It's yeah, I think we talked about this a week or so ago, but after Endgame there was this huge feeling of like disappointment for me, because it was like, God, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's not done, but you know, on top of that, we saw announcements that came out and was like, this is what's in store for you in the future for phase 4.
Right.
And fucking half of that would be done by now if it wasn't for the pandemic. We would already be well into this, you know, and because of the way that things shook out, and obviously nobody's fault, but we're only one show into it.
Yeah.
We've got so much that they've already done, that's already in the can, that's already in production, that damn, at this point Feige might already be thinking about the next phase for all I know.
I think he said they normally plan about 5 years out.
Exactly. Time. So you're well into probably well into phase 5 at that point.
Yeah.
So,
like, dude,
man,
this list is going to change when the Fantastic Four make their MCU debut, and when the X-Men make their MCU debuts. Like, and when
Deadpool makes his MCU debut.
I really want to see Deadpool interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man,
and whoever they get to play Wolverine.
Yeah,
those three on the screen together. And you know, and on top of that, what I've been wanting for years and years and years is finally going to be a possibility, sometime probably in the next 5 years, which is Wolverine and the Hulk.
Yes, there's the cartoon where they fight, and it's incredible.
I mean, Wolverine was introduced in the Incredible Hulk comics. Yep. You know, that was his first appearance, was side by side with the Hulk, fighting him. You know, when Wolverine fights Venom at one point, and Venom's like, I made Spider-Man's life a living hell, and Wolverine's like, oh, Spider-Man, the teenager? Yeah. I stabbed the Hulk yesterday. I mean, that history goes back so far. We've never seen it on screen together.
I hope we do. I really hope we do.
I can't wait. I think we have to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video, or else we're going to get too excited here, and there'll be too many Ralph boners floating around that it'll be bad. So we would love to hear from you guys, though. What are your favorite Marvel moments? You know, whether that's MCU, non-MCU, cartoons, television shows, whatever. Leave us a comment below and let us know. As always, subscribe to the channel, like this video, turn on your notifications so that way you never miss another one, and be out on the lookout for lots of stuff to come from us. We got plenty of Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff coming, Justice League stuff, you name it. If it's nerdy, we're covering it. And until next time, we will see you guys in the next video.